Today I'm going to give you a quick example of how to feed your larger or medium-sized sundews using a method that I just recently found out about from another grower. The sundew you see here is Drosera bermanii from Humpty-Doo, Australia, and I just wanted to give a quick example of how dramatically some species of sundews can curl their leaves around prey. I just fed this plant a few days ago, and the leaf, that is kind of out of focus here, was still in the process of digesting the meal I gave it, whereas the leaves in the back here have finished digesting their meal almost completely and are unfurling again, and they'll be ready to eat another meal here in the near future. This leaf here has failed to produce dew again after eating its last meal, and it'll eventually be replaced by leaves that are constantly being sent out from the crown. So over time, this old growth is replaced by new growth, and you can see how it kind of forms a dead skirt over time, and that's the reason why some species like Drosera admirabilis can grow large skirts of dead growth like you see here. Some species, such as Drosera bermanii, Drosera indica, or Drosera glanduligera, among others that I've listed on my webpage about feeding, are unable to get any larger when grown from seed unless they are fed. Sometimes they've been known to even completely die off over time if they don't receive a meal for a while. But other species don't need to be fed once they reach maturity, such as Drosera capensis or Drosera admirabilis, and they're able to maintain a pretty large growth state without having to be fed. Others, like Drosera intermedia, that you can kind of see here in this mess, or I guess there's another plant here, they will not grow any larger unless fed and will shrink back once they don't receive a meal for a while. But with all sundews, feeding encourages flowering and rapid growth. The Drosera capensis red I have in another video, I mentioned that the plant hadn't flowered for a year because I haven't fed this plant for a year. But before that, when I fed it, it would flower frequently. So this plant that you see here, this Drosera bermanii, has sent up 2 stalks already, and a third is along the way, because I feed this plant about once a month in pretty generous amounts. Drosera bermanii can handle more food than pretty much any other sundew. But feeding is the best way if you want to spread as much seed around as possible or produce more seed for yourself. You can see just how many seeds you can get from a single plant if it's fed. So what I use to feed my sundews is Beta-Bite fish food pellets, and other growers have had great success with freeze-dried bloodworms or frozen bloodworms, and what I like to do is grind them into a fine powder with a rolling pin. Then with this new method that I just learned about, what you do is you just scoop up a little bit of this food, and I kind of already have some in this cup over here, but I'll just add a little more. But you want to add the same amount, volume by volume, pretty much, from what I've seen so far, with water as you do food. So you just have about a 50-50 mix of food and water. Then you can mix that up with tweezers or with a pipette or eyedropper. Just mix that around pretty nicely and kind of back pipette it a few times just to mix it up and get it kind of evenly spread throughout the water. I usually only like to pick up about a little bit of the mixture at a time, because if you suck up too much all at once, I've noticed that the food tends to settle eventually in the pipette, and so you'll kind of get clumps at the end. So I like to just do frequent pipettes with smaller volumes so that I don't have to worry about the clumping issue. I'm going to just quickly show an example on Drosera oblanceolata. You can see that I've already fed this sundew as well, and some of these leaves are still folded over the food I gave them. But I'm just going to give you an example on this leaf back here. And what you do is you just want to squeeze out just a very small amount of the liquid mixed with the food, like that. I'll quickly zoom in here so you can get a better idea. But you'll notice that just within a few hours, or even within 30 minutes for many species of sundews, the tentacles will tend to curl pretty dramatically over the food. This is one leaf that I just fed a few hours ago. But other species, like Drosera admirabilis, have just really exaggerated leaf curling. Especially Drosera regia is known for its extremely dramatic curling over food. And I guess I'll just give you another quick demonstration on Drosera natalensis since that was so fast. But just you can get an idea on this plant. I'll just quickly drop a little more on this one here. But maybe I'll give an example of what you can do if you put too much on a leaf. I'll just give an example here. But let's say that you accidentally clump a bunch of food on a single leaf, and you don't want to risk mold or something like that. So say you have a nice big clump of food there on that leaf, and that's a bit too much for a sundew this size if it's not Drosera bermanii. So what you want to do is just take some tweezers, or you can take your pipette or eyedropper and just pick up some of that food and put it on another leaf, which will allow the leaf with a lot of food to not be as stressed. When the medium or the food is a bit more full of liquid, you can just take that pipetter and suck up as much as you can off the leaf to leave sort of an appropriate amount on that sundew so that the leaf won't be burnt by the food. So there you have it. I hope that helps. And this, what I used to be doing was taking a pair of tweezers and individually taking powder from here, or I'd scoop some onto my hand first, and then I'd try to like individually, like for example, like on a capillaris, I'd try to individually drop like a reasonable size amount of food onto a leaf. But this pipette method or eyedropper method definitely speeds up this process, and I'm really glad I found out about this. So there you have it, and that is how you can feed your sundews.